For my literacy bag, I've chosen to do my literacy bag about fire safety. And on my bag, I decorated it with the words "Fire Safety Fun Bag," and I have different safety areas listed on here as ambulance, fire department, and police department. All of the activities in the bag will have a set of instructions like this one for one of our activities in the folder, which will have all our activities and extra papers that you may need to complete the activities. There's also a journal in the bag so that mom and dad can write down any questions or how they like the activities or any other activities that they came up with on their own to do with their children to help them be more safe about fires. Also, I have an index card that has my name, phone number, email, so that mom and dad can email or call me and ask me any questions they may have about the activities in the bag. There are 5 books in the bag for the Literacy Bag project. The first 4 books, A Day in the Life of a Firefighter, Going to the Firehouse, To the Rescue, and The Fire Cat, are all books that your first or second grader should be able to read without help or very little help. The last book in the literacy bag is Curious George and the Firefighters. And this is a book to read with mom and dad, or maybe mom and dad to read to their child. And each day of the week, they will read one of these books leading up to Curious George on Friday to round out their week about fire safety. Our excuse me. First activity is called Hot or Cold. They have a set of pictures that are going to be in a Ziploc bag of different items that are hot or cold, and then an index card that says hot or cold, and they will lay those down face up with the word up, and then place that picture on the pile whether it's hot or cold depending on the picture. For example, this is a campfire, so it would go on the pile for hot. And then here's a picture of a glass of water, which would go on the pile for cold. And I've come up with a way for it to extend into a home activity further, which is mom and dad can take them around the house and show them different items that could be hot or cold. Like they could actually open up the freezer, take out ice cubes, and let them touch them to show cold. They could, for dinner, they could be having soup, and they could tell them put their hand over the top of the soup after they put it in the bowl and ask them do they feel that heat, so they get that example of heat. They could also go to a light bulb and they can say that's hot, we don't want to touch that, and talk about why we don't want to touch it. Our next activity is for the child to make a evacuation route with mom and dad, and I provided colors and markers to draw their evacuation route. And what they'll do is they'll draw a route of their house using shapes like squares and long rectangles and small rectangles to show like their front door, their hallway, and the different rooms in their house. And after they draw all these shapes to represent the rooms, they'll go back with mom and dad and help them label the different rooms in their house, like the living room, the bedroom, the hallway, the bathroom. And once we label them, we want to go back and draw an arrow or a line with an arrow on the end of it showing the quickest way to get out that room. For the example, here's my living room, and then the quickest way to get out is to go out the living room and into the entryway and out the front door. And after the students come up with an evacuation route for their home, mom and dad will designate an area either at the neighbor's house across the street or next door or another meeting place once they get out of the house that's far enough and safe enough distant from the fire. And then they will practice the fire drill or evacuation route to see how fast they can get out of the house. And they will keep practicing until they can get out of the house as quick as they can in the shortest amount of time. And to time this, they'll use a watch that mom or dad has, or their mom's or dad's cell phone. And then we'll have our last activity, which is fire safety tic-tac-toe, where we'll go outside and draw a tic-tac-toe on the ground using chalk and answer fire safety questions. And the first person who answers the question or correctly, they will mark their X, and they'll keep going until whoever wins the activity or the game. And some of the questions that I came up with is, what do you do after you get out of the house safely, which is go to your designated area. What's the best way to get out of the house safely? Follow your evacuation route. Know your evacuation route. Do you touch the doorknob in the house if the house is on fire? No, you don't want to touch that because it's going to be really hot and burn you really bad. And another thing mom and dad could do with that activity is to come up with their own list of fire safety questions or safety questions in general about home and different things around the house that we want to be safe about. I have also included some index cards for mom and dad to use to write their name, phone number, and address on to help their kids memorize their information. So if they have to call 911, they can give it to the fire department or ambulance service and be able to get them to the right place in time. Another idea for the index cards is to write an aunt or an uncle's name on it, someone they can contact other than mom or dad if mom and dad are hurt or they're not there and you can't get a hold of them. They can get a hold of their aunt or uncle that can come and help them if they know their information. Okay. And then all of our stuff will be put in our literacy bag, and we'll keep it for about a week and work on the different activities. And of course you can complete them more than once and then return it at the end of the week, and we'll discuss one-on-one during free time what you learned about the activity and how you liked it and what you would maybe like to do for another activity for that project. And that's it.